got friendly with one of the inmates over there. He says, Chaim, you know, in this block, there's about 120 children, 12, 11, 12, 10, 12. And they get food, milk, anything, toys they gave them, all the ones. Very odd. A week later, those poor children were put on a trolley. To Auschwitz.
70 years on, and Chaim Förster, who now lives in Salford, still bears the mental and physical scars from his time in Auschwitz. The number tattooed on his arm corresponding to a list he has of fellow prisoners living daily under the threat of death through starvation, illness and the gas chamber.
Every day you had to get up around about 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, freezing cold. You had to get up. They count you on the bunkers. They throw you out if you're late. To have roll call, stand out for the piece of bread. You can stand for hours in the freezing cold. You didn't have the clothes to keep you warm. You're treated just not a human being, like an animal.
It was so horrendous that you didn't even cry. It was like a dream or a nightmare or a horror story.
Eva Newman now lives in Salford, but as a young woman prisoner, she had to gather the clothes of those sent to their deaths. During the last 70 years, it's emerged that she was even caught on camera while at Auschwitz.
You don't see the bodies. You work there, and they go in and they scream and they shout. The minute they realized what was happening, they said this is a bath. It wasn't. It was a showers, and the gas was dropped in. And the last word they said was Shema Israel, help God or whatever. And that was a relief to us because they knew they were not suffering anymore.
2819 Insassen befreite die.
Many Holocaust survivors say those fit enough to do hard work stood more chance of escaping death. Others found the torment of everyday life at Auschwitz too much.
There was electric barbed wire, you know, and a few of them ran to the wire. They got themselves electrocuted. There was quite a few. There were men who wasn't bothered. Life wasn't. We couldn't see. We didn't think there would be an end to it.
Most Jewish Holocaust survivors who've gone on to rebuild their lives here in the Northwest say they'll never fully get over what they experienced as youngsters 70 years ago. But they were not the only ones persecuted by the Nazis.
It wasn't just Jews who were killed in the Holocaust. It was Roma, it was disabled people, it was homosexuals and so on. Anybody, even trade unionists, socialists, that the Nazis did not like, they tried to destroy them and oppress them. I am optimistic that we are going to be able to live in peace and in harmony. When there are problems in society, that's when people look for scapegoats, and sadly, the Jew has always been the very first scapegoat.
Under those infamous gates, today they remembered those who never left.
Without you, we couldn't be here. I'm here. I'm strong and a victor. I'm here alive.
Mordecai Ronan was just 11 when he arrived in Auschwitz. His mother and 2 sisters were taken to the gas chambers so quickly, he never had a chance to say goodbye.
I hope it will never happen again.
From all over the world they have come to remember and to pray.
Never happen again. I don't want to come anymore here.
Feelings shared by Rose Schindler, who was 14 when she lost everything.
I feel disgusted that it's all still here, okay? I feel depressed because what happened to us over here. I lost my family here. I lost 4 sisters and a brother in the gas chambers.
More than 1 million men, women and children were killed at Auschwitz-Birkenau, part of the Nazis' final solution to liquidate the Jewish race.
Hatred, 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 hatred. That's all it is.
Hatred which brought Ziggy Schipper to Auschwitz aged just 14. He spent several weeks here before being sent to work in a factory elsewhere. But most people arriving on these cattle trucks didn't even survive a day.
Guards came over and told the woman to put the baby down, go to the other side. Well, you can imagine a mother wouldn't do it. They tried to rip that baby out of their arms. Sometimes they didn't succeed. They shot the baby, shot the child.
Little remains now of the gas chambers where most perished. Ziggy was deemed fit enough to work and so was spared this awful fate.
They told them they're going into the showers, but of course there was no showers. It was a building, you see, and they packed them into that building, closed the door, and then they killed them. They gassed them.
Amid this bleak, monochrome landscape, there is one point of colour. 6 candles for the 6 million Jews who died in the Holocaust.
It was the very first transport to Auschwitz, straight to the gas chamber.
At 91, Gina Turgel realises the value of her testimony. As the Holocaust passes from living memory into history, she's trying to reach as many young people as she can. She survived the horror, but 2 sisters and 3 brothers did not.
And never, never forget. There were people, those who were killed, they were like you, everyone like us. And for no reason. Why? So please, never forget whatever I told you today.
Her story begins as a young girl in Poland, where her family was rounded up by the Nazis and sent to the camps.
Many times I thought I'd throw myself against the electric wires, but one thought kept me back. I said, who's going to look after my mother? Excuse me.
For 5 years, Gina and her mother's ordeal continued. They ended up together in Belsen.
Heaps of bodies lying outside each barrack. Skeletons. You could not distinguish whether men or women. And I said to myself, I'm not going to die like that.
She knew when the British soldiers entered the camp that she and her mother would finally be safe. What she didn't know was she would go on to marry one of her liberators.
So all that, thousands and thousands of tragedies and death, and the love story, one love story.
No, isn't it amazing?
They married just after the war near Belsen. Gina's dress was made from a British silk parachute. Looking back, she says her fiancé's determination and love saved her.
But you see, he made up his mind when he first saw me in a hospital. This is the girl he's going to get married. Never mind me what I thought.
Their marriage lasted nearly 50 years and they returned to Belsen together in 1995. Their love story, born out of the horror of the Holocaust, went on to produce 3 children, grandchildren and even great-grandchildren.
So they're made from silk, real silk.
Real silk.
But Gina must now remember her extraordinary life of survival and love as a widow. She's given her wedding dress to the Imperial War Museum.
Of course, you can tell today, after all these years, it's still very good condition. But I don't think it will fit me today.
And your memory, where your feelings when you see it?
The feeling is absolutely tremendous. It's wonderful.
The dress is being stored ready to exhibit for future generations. They may never hear her testimony in person, but they will learn of her courage, and she hopes they will always remember her words.
This is very, very important for the future. Younger generations, generations to come, they should learn about it and should never, never allow it to happen again.